Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here today again. So to start the conversation and break the ice, I'm going to ask you a fun question. How about that? The question is, if you have to switch your career for a week with anybody in the world, who would that be? Mind you, it's for a week. And this is such a great question because it kind of like opens you up to the other dimension of your brain and allows you to access the creative aspect of your life. And as I said to Luke before, there's still so many things that we can explore while we're alive, while we're here. Life is too short, but then still we have to snatch the moments where we can just be creative or energetic or excited about the things that we can create and build in our life. And definitely it takes effort, right? It takes effort. And today's topic is exactly the same, which is Pareto's principle 80-20, which really states that the 80% of the results are going to come from 20% of the activities. So as we start to talk about this, has anybody sort of read about this before? Or do you feel that it's true that majority of the times only 20% of the activities are driving 80% of the results? Do you think that has happened with you? Or if I ask this question in a way that if you could only work 20% of your day and still get 80% of the results, what would you spend that time doing? If you could only work 20% of the day and still get 80% of the results, what are those activities that you'd spend time doing? The 80-20 rule and the work-life harmony involves time management, work-life balance, resource allocation, and work priorities. Let's spend a minute here on resource allocation, because rest of the time, things we are aware, right? We need to set our goals with the work. We need to balance our work and life. We need to effectively do the time management. There are some pointers that we're going to discuss about these aspects as well. But let's spend a minute here on resource allocation. What do you think it means? Anyone?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Simi. About the resource allocation, I was just bringing in the perspective that three types of resources I personally look at, which is time, treasure, and talent. How I can classify my task, my route, my project into three different categories, which is what time, what treasure, and what talent would be required to accomplish the task. So that's the resource allocation from my perspective.
Yes, absolutely. So you're dividing the resources. It could be your time, your energy, and the third one was?
Talent. What talent is required? Maybe I need a project manager,
Skill
maybe an
sets.
engineer,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then further,
Yeah.
I can drill it down that, whether it is internal or external, or I just need to take it just from outside. So branched out like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a great practice. And it's kind of pretty macro level. And then you can just break it down into
Yes.
different aspects in terms of, your goals, your high level goals for the year. And then kind of like see where you need to improve yourself as well. Fantastic approach. This is wonderful, right? So guys, again, we're learning from each other. That's the whole point of all this. Work-life balance, navigating the modern challenge. So why are we even talking about this? We're talking about this because this is the world, which is too complex. And more than the world, which is complex, we are even more complex internally. And one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is finding that balance within themselves when it comes to their actualization of the goals and the energy that they're putting in and balancing with their personal well-being. And the reason we are gathered together here is to kind of find out how we can do both of these things together. How can we be super productive as well as a truly happy person inside, right? Such a great goal to have, right? Hard to achieve, but not that hard as well if you just start to take like small baby steps, right? So we understand that overworking and burnout can lead to depression, anxiety, and all this multiple physical health issues. Neglecting our personal health is obviously not going to help us anyways with our goals achievement or in terms of accomplishing high performance and productivity. And relationships are the cornerstone of anybody's life. Like they're giving us so much of energy, whether they're social relationships, our deeper friendships, our love life, our relationship with our parents or our kids. All relationships are giving us some sort of energy, right? So balancing all these aspects are going to help us feel more motivated, have more connection with our life, have more connection with our work, and have more energy and drive, which is exactly what we're trying to achieve here. 80-20 rule suggests that 80% of our results come from 20% of our efforts, offering a new perspective on how to optimize our time and energy. So let's try to apply this to the work. Majority of the times, we understand where we are. If you have certain self-awareness about our day and be like, okay, you know what, I was sitting and looking at my laptop for about 7 hours, but you know what, I didn't feel anything. I mean, I didn't feel connected to the work. I didn't get any results. Yeah, I'm going to get the paycheck at the end of the month, which is going to happen. But you know what, there's no magic happening. I need to do something more. And sometimes some days are going to be like, okay, I want to take it easy. And that's perfectly fine because you're building up your inner resourcefulness. And there are going to be days when you are super energetic, but you're not productive. So how do we identify those aspects where we should focus on so that you drive a certain level of productivity? And the first thing we need to do for that is to set a standard for ourselves. We only achieve the amount of results that are directly proportional to the standards we set for ourselves, whether it's our health, whether it's our personal well-being, our inner peace, or financial gains, or even the career growth. And all of us have subconscious standards that we have set up for ourselves, isn't it? So if I bring that to the practical aspect of my life, how would I set that up? So here's an example. As Ankur also mentioned, there are going to be certain areas that you identify that, okay, you know what, my performance is low in this category, or I am not feeling productive because I'm not feeling challenged. I mean, this is a bland role. The kind of work I'm doing is not giving me any energy. So first of all, let's try to identify the problem areas, the obstacles that you're facing right now. And then you start to work on these three aspects. I mean, these are just the examples. What are the high impact projects? What skills do I need to actualize them, to accomplish them? And the key client relationships or key project relationships or key team relationships that you need to build in order to manifest them. So this is just an example. It could vary differently in terms of different type of projects that you're dealing with. So all of us, no matter what role we're playing in the company, we all have certain outcomes that are expected out of us. I'm sure that's written in your job description as well. Or it is something that is going to help you get to the next level of career growth, right? You're aware that if I get these 5 things done in the company in 1 year, I'm going to get promoted, right? Or I'm going to get a higher base salary or whatever, higher commissions. So what are the outcomes? First thing is to clarify what are the outcomes and the goals that you're trying to achieve. Now let's try to apply this to our life, right? Which is comprehensive, beyond work, creative aspect of our life, social aspect of our life, personal aspect of our life, our inner life, right? What I feel inside about myself can be entirely different how I'm projecting to you guys, but there is an inner life going on as well. And what does that do to us? It basically either derails us completely because we're not able to manage our emotions, or it amplifies everything. We have spoken about this over and over again, which is our ability to be resilient, right? But the reality is that there are 20% of activities that are going to help you become more resilient if we start to focus on those 20%. And that could vary from like, people to people. 20% of those activities are something that are very unique to some people. For example, I'm not in sports, right? But some people are in sports and they're like, if I just go and play tennis for 45 minutes a day, I feel so awesome. I feel this dopamine rushing in my body and, all these beautiful chemicals kicking in and I feel amplified. So that 45 minutes of workout of playing tennis is actually changing your brain. That's just 20% of what you're doing, even less than 20%, which is probably giving you 80% or more of that energy that you need. So identifying those 20% of meaningful activities that offers you 80% of joy. And that is different for everybody. So today's awareness or some takeaway from this conversation is, do I know some of those activities that are going to help me generate 80% of joy and happiness and fulfillment in my life if I start to practice them a couple of times a week, every day, or maybe twice a day, prioritizing meaningful activities. Quality time with our loved ones, meaningful conversations, planning special occasions, creating unforgettable moments. Very important. As much as, we want to be more productive and have higher performance and be successful and ambitious and driven, writing down on a piece of paper that these are the 5 small vacations or personal time or any of those events that I want to experience with my loved ones, at least 5 in a year, where I'm going to sit with these people. I'm going to have a heart-to-heart conversations. I'm going to have fun moments. I'm going to just let myself loose. I'm going to dance. I'm going to party. I'm going to go on a vacation. You need that connection time. Very important for your brain, very important for your emotional health. And something to look forward to, right? Let's say if you have a vacation coming up in 3 months, you're excited about it already, right? And we need to play with our brain like that because our brain is so fickle. It attaches itself to negativity super fast because our limbic brain is driven to perceive threat. We're always perceiving threat. Unfortunately, it's going to take another 1,000 years for our prefrontal cortex of the brain to overpower the limbic brain, which is our primitive brain. But the reality is we're still dealing with our primitive brain's nuisance, which is like perceiving threat all the time. So how do we overcome that? Is by giving our brain some cues that, hey, something beautiful is going to happen. After this meeting, I'm going to make a phone call to my loved one. I'm going to have a great conversation. Small things, right? Some joy that you're snatching, you're taking, stealing away from the moments. And amazing things it's going to do to your brain. Physical fitness, I've already mentioned, like whether it's yoga, whether it's working out, or any of such activities that are boost a certain amount of chemicals in your body that are physically felt in the body as feelings. And projects that you're crazy about, that you're passionate about, but they're just buried somewhere under your subconscious space, and they're like just a dream. Because any dream that you're dreaming has the possibility of reality. We're living in a meta world. It's a cosmic world where possibilities are endless. You are manifesting your reality every day unconsciously. How about manifesting it consciously? And sometimes you're like, okay, but I want to get things done faster. There's no need to go fast. Let's say if you want to write a book, let's say if you want to learn dancing or German language or anything that you're passionate about, start today and just take baby steps. In 1 year, you'll get somewhere. So give yourself some timeline that helps you to start working on those projects in parallel, even 45 minutes a day. And trust me, all of us have 45 minutes of the day to bring our focus to the things that gives us joy. Planning is super important, right? And if we haven't spent time in identifying those activities, I think it's a good time that we can do it. Identifying a couple of tasks, not only one task, but there are going to be maybe 1 or 2 tasks pretty much that are going to be the most impactful ones. So maybe it's a good time that we start to focus on those things. So productivity, let's talk about that for a second. Quality versus quantity, right? Why it matters, why working smarter and not harder. Hard work is anyways there, right? We're going to work hard. I mean, we're bound to work hard as human beings. It's always going to happen unless we're super lazy and just not leaving our couch and watching Netflix all day, which probably none of us are doing. So working hard anyways, right? But then there is the concept of quality, like quality work. Quality work also offers a sense of fulfillment and drives us to do better in our life and helps us explore our potential. And when you're passionate about something and you see the results, what happens? It expands your heart. You're like, you know what? If I can achieve this, I can achieve so much more. It gives you confidence. Bare minimum, I'm going to just do bare minimum and live life by. What happens in that case? Everything in your life is done bare minimum. Your relationships are bare minimum. Your health is bare minimum. Your mental health is bare minimum. Your work life is bare minimum. But if one aspect of your life is not bare minimum, that's why I said setting the standards. I promise you, none of these aspects will be bare minimum, because then that becomes your character, right? If I am the person who wants to deliver results, do the quality work, be productive, naturally, that is going to reflect in other aspects of my life as well. So let's stop being busy for the sake of being busy, and let's focus on living our life to the fullest. Even if you're spending conscious 5 hours to 6 hours at workplace, it's way more than enough to help the company grow. None of us can super focus for 8 hours. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. Yeah, we're present there for 8 hours, but really the amount of time we are really focusing on in an hour is about 20, 30 minutes. And then we need to switch our brain to other things. We're picking phone calls, we're doing other things. Like if you're a super woman or man, maybe you can stretch it up to 6.5 hours, but that's a max. And that's a lot of time to utilize your brain for work. So the point is that why we are present there for 10 hours is not to just go crazy for 10 hours, but to kind of balance our energy in a way that we pick up the things that are productive, that are actually driving results, helping the company to grow, helping my team to grow, and helping me get results that I'm supposed to get for the company or for myself. Finding personal happiness, less is more. We're going to just spend a minute here. We talked about picking up the meaningful experiences, but it doesn't mean we have to fill our life with things. We don't need everything. We don't need to go to movies every weekend. We don't need to go to party every weekend. We don't need to do all the fancy things that sometimes we see on Instagram, spending a lot of money on vacations. It could be just very simple things. And those simple things, again, are different for everybody. Some people are just happy looking at flowers and smelling, the earth after the rain happens, all this small little experiences where you connect with life. Connection with life can happen differently for each one of us. So making sure that we focus on our well-being as to be the top priority, because if you are healthy, if you're feeling good about life in general, you are more present with your work. You have more energy, more concentration, more ability to solve problems, more tolerance, more givingness, the attitude to collaborate with others, being more compassionate, empathetic. But if my tank is empty, then what's going to happen? I'm going to have zero tolerance for bullshit. I'm going to always scream and shout at my team members. I'm going to be like, they're all a-holes and I'm the best one. And they don't understand what they're doing. All those feelings start to come up. And then what happens? Nothing is happening in the outside world. Everything is then happening inside of us. We're creating those chemicals in our body and brain that are making us feel frustrated, lethargic, low energy, low drive. And then we get angry. Oh, my job is like that. My boss is like that. My this is like that. My that is like that. And we continue to think in the pattern, which is not positive for anybody. So when we start to focus on ourselves and we're like, I'm going to find out those 20% of the activities that are actually giving me joy, could be very small things throughout the day, just like stepping out for a few minutes and sipping your favorite cup of coffee and being present with it and being grateful for the fact that, yeah, there are 5 things going wrong right now in my life, but there are 3 things that are amazing. And let's focus on that, right? So our takeaway today is, how often do you spend time on activities that bring you personal joy? Finding out those activities for ourselves. Personal side of your 80-20 rule. All right, so quickly moving to the time management strategies and all the things that we build as a foundation. So it's obvious that we got to do something practically, right? So time blocking is a fantastic tool where we set up the time based on our energetic field every day. And again, each day is going to be different. Some days you want to journal in the morning. Some days you're like, you know what? I don't feel like, I'm just going to sit and watch birds. I'm going to do nothing else. Maybe I'll do it after my lunch break or something like that. Find out your rhythm. There's no right and wrong. There's no right and wrong when it comes to giving yourself the energy that you need. It is entirely up to you how you want to feed yourself. If the time that you have set up for yourself, probably today is not the day for that, it's okay. Pick up another time. right? Manage your energy based on your energy field, based on how you're feeling that day, just being aware of how am I feeling. And I think I've spoken about this many, many, many times. Ask yourself, how am I feeling? The most important thing you can ask yourself is, how am I feeling? And if I'm feeling something is not okay, what can I do to give myself those feelings? Because you can do that. I mean, sometimes we think that we can't, we're helpless. It's not true. Practice it. When you think that, okay, love is missing in my life, what are you going to do? Go out, find a little kid, play with them, give them a chocolate, give them a candy, spend some time with them, or spend time with animals, or anybody that you can help, you can care, you can love. The love is going to sprung from your heart. It's just going to come. You don't have to derive love from one specific person. Life is full of love. But when you're missing somebody, let's say if you have a heartbreak, you're missing that connection of love. But then that love is already inside you. When you start to feel that experience inside of you, you're like, okay, you know what? I can generate that for myself. And that is so powerful. Remove some of these aspects, some of these activities from your life that you can delegate. Very important. You don't have to do everything on your own. You don't have to take the burden of the whole world on yourself. Even if it's your family members, if you're taking up a lot of load, ask yourself, why? Is this really necessary? Or can I still detach myself and focus on some of the things that they truly need, where I gotta be present, and some of the things that I can just tell them to do themselves? Delegate. Remove things from your table. And it's not being selfish. It's actually being more self-aware. And we understand being selfish here, or being self-assured, or being self-centered means that I'm trying to gather energies for myself so I can help others in a profound manner. So being with self is the biggest gift that you can give to yourself. Prioritization, we already discussed, and mindfulness and breaks, which is like, okay, gotta check on myself every few hours. How am I feeling? What's happening in me? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling joyful? Am I feeling frustrated? What's the frustration about? Don't run away. Don't distract. 90% of the people distract. Oh, I'm feeling bad. Let me just get out and talk to a friend. Let me just eat a pizza. Let me just smoke, whatever, XYZ. But ask yourself, be real with yourself. What is happening in this moment? And when you start to become self-aware of your own patterns, then only you can break them. Then only you're like, okay, you know what? Enough of just playing this victim drama. Let me just do something about it. And the thing is that you have all the powers to do something about it. Key habits for work-life harmony: clear boundaries and regular reflection. Boundaries, a big topic, very important topic. And majority of the times we let other people cross the boundaries and take up a lot of mental space in our head. And also, drain us of our energies. So again, maybe this is something we can go deeper in another session as well, but just pay attention to where you're depleted the most. What are the areas in your life where you feel that you're depleted and you would like to bring more energy to those aspects? And the last question that we're going to ponder upon is, can you identify one area of your personal life where you could apply 80-20 rule to increase happiness? So all of us have those areas, right? As long as we're alive in this body, trust me, we're all messed up. All of us. None of us are spared. Whether I'm teaching you, coaching you, preaching, all this, we're all struggling. Change is the essence of life. Problems are going to come. Sometimes it's work, sometimes it's personal life, but it's always going to happen. So our job is to just roll with it, but in the best possible way, and identify the areas where, for that moment, we're able to do something about. Because the beautiful thing about life is that problems are there, but we can still do something about them. That's it. Continue to work on yourself. Just remember that the struggle is a constant, and finding out, the intervention where you can just bring some energy to yourself is also a possibility. And we have to choose ourselves over and over and over again. We have to choose ourselves over and over and over again. With that thought, I'll just sign out now. And thank you very much for being present here. Lots of love. And I'll hopefully see you very soon again.